design. It actually, when Hogan Pole first came to me to design their space, just doing some research on their product, they're extremely high-end. They tend to be very streamlined, and I know Dining by Design being a little bit more over the top, I felt like I needed to bring two different players into one partnership and just sort of get something that worked, but for the part of Dining by Design, but also on the side of Hogan Pole. The first item that actually came into play was the sand, because the sand, or the flooring typically when you're working on one of these installations, knowing that people were going to eat on the floor, or on the table, I was worried about having to return a product to a vendor that loaned it to me. So I didn't want to use carpeting or something that would be slippery like a tile, so I immediately thought of sand. For whatever reason, I love the beach. And because of AIDS, I wanted red colors, red hues to be the colors of the fabric, so sort of bringing in DIFFA as an organization into the overall space. So that essentially brought Morocco to light. It's as simple as that, or as complex as that, but that's pretty much how Morocco and New York came to be born. It actually took us a long time. We only had 6 weeks. Hogan Pole came to me 6 weeks ago. So we had to get our boards together in about, I put us on my firm on a pretty tight schedule. It took us about a week and a half to get our boards fully completed. Items initially sourced. So fabrics were initially sourced. The sand, we already decided we were going to use. The model in the space was a definite. The tables from Hogan Pole we needed to use. The other items were sort of left to as an unknown, more as a conceptual question. Or when we came up with lanterns, but what lantern was it going to be? At the point that our boards were together, I didn't really know. From there, we presented. I did go back and present to Hogan Pole, make sure that they were on board with what we were doing. At that point, once they said go ahead with the Morocco, I immediately contacted Bernardo, who supplied all of our china, all of the place settings, all the plates were from them. In the same meeting, so organically things started to take shape. The same day that I was in Bernardo, picking out the patterns that I wanted to use. Somebody from Hermes walked in, and 4 hours later, I'm sitting in their corporate showroom looking at Daniell, which is their line of silverware and other silver items, and the San Louis glass china, the glassware, the stemware. So in one day, I pretty much selected everything that was going to be on the tabletop. After that, some of the other fabrics that we added in, the elephants on the table, some of the smaller items that were extremely important, or in my mind are extremely important to bringing a project to completion, were still the unknowns, but they're more the accessories, so I knew that would just come together. So really at that point we were 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week to the day of execution for pulling all those items together. The same way I design a space organically is the same way I actually got into interior design. I actually started my career on Wall Street when I got out of college. I had a degree in finance and computers. I went out to California to work in the internet banking sector out in San Francisco, and long story short, was offered a modeling contract, and the modeling contract eventually brought me back to New York. During the course of that time, I had purchased a summer home that was in major need of improvement, and little by little I started designing it on my own when I had the resources, both financially and time-wise. I also found myself when I was on photo shoots, international destinations, I'd find myself going to the museums, going to look at the architecture, or trying to juxtapose this very superficial world of modeling with this very deep and rich world of architecture, art, culture. And that's something that I brought to the table, but that didn't necessarily get me to design. What did get me to the initial startup of being a designer was doing my own beach house. From there, I was able to leverage my knowledge from all my travels, and other people, friends, family asked me to help them design their spaces, and little by little, next thing I knew, I was designing for people I didn't know for free. And my mentor, my design mentor, who at that point wasn't my mentor, but she was a designer, told me that I was nuts, that I am doing all this service and essentially not making any money out of it. So at that point, I started a business, and that's how Harry Daniell Design was born. Currently working on a product line, a multi-level, multi-layered product line for area rugs, fabric, and wall treatment. So in the immediate, that's what people have to look forward to, or what I and my staff have to look forward to and sort of finalizing. We're at the final stages of getting it to release, and it should be out within the next couple of months. What is important to me, and something that I grew up with, was eating around a dinner table, formal or informal, having a space. Everybody doesn't have a formal kitchen, everybody doesn't have a formal dining room, but there should be a proper space, even if it's sitting in the living room around a cocktail table with the television off, that being the key word. I just think the family time is what's so, I think that's so important, and I think that's something that our country has sort of let go of a little bit. And sort of my working with Bernardo and with Hermes, we forgot the dining desk even. My goal in sometimes doing these endeavors is really bringing the importance of the tabletop, the china, and the table itself back to a central focus, so that even if it is around a cardboard box, you don't have to buy it, but you should be sitting around it every evening. My goal would be 5 times a week, if not 7, but with different work schedules, at least 1 to 2 times a week, so at least you have an opportunity to catch up with the other members of your family.